Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, this is a YT960, probably one of the most popular, rarer, and highly coveted of stereo consoles. And as I'm sure many of you know, the reason is because of this. It's got a reel-to-reel. As you can see, it's not coming all the way up, it's sticking. We'll address that. But we are going to restore this guy. And as usual, tuner amp, which is underneath this guy, and we're going to restore that guy. We've done these before on another video, a Y960, so there's no reason to go into detail, but we're definitely going into detail on this guy. This is a 57Z. It's a rebadged Wollensak reel-to-reel, R2R. I'm not sure what works in it yet. I haven't figured it out, but I guarantee it's going to need belts and idlers and what have you. She's a real beauty, really good condition, and it's going to be a frame off restoration, kind of, because we're going to take the leg frames off. This is the weak point right here. This is just these are screwed in, and that's just a dowel. And if these get dragged at all, those legs start to come apart. As you can see right there, that's the dowel. And we're gonna do a little strengthening, but we're gonna take the frame off, the base frame, so we can see how to do that. I've done it many times before. Even if they're good, I do it because even in shipping, they can get dragged when they're not supposed to. We have a hinge issue. This hinge broke. It's missing some parts. There's some little sleeve here. Hang on, where is it? Stay there. There's supposed to have a little black sleeve. I found this guy, and I got to get a couple of those, and we're going to fix that hinge. Not too sure if you're interested in that, but anyway, that's going to go back because that's a big lid, and it needs all those hinges to keep this guy upright, so that this doesn't happen right there, as you can see. But we'll oil that in and it should all blend nicely. But yeah, looking forward to this one. Never done a YT, done plenty of Y960s, but yeah, stay tuned and thanks for watching. There'll be more. Okay, we got the back off, and as you can see, plenty of dust and dirt. Like there was a bloody winter snowstorm in there. But anyway, we'll clean all that up with our compressed air. The reason that was sticking up, not going all the way out, was this piston here. This piston was stuck and preventing it. So this is a little shock absorber as the unit goes up. This is very cool. It has these very large, these are metal bands here on these pulleys, to give it a nice rise up and down. So we're already fixing stuff. How cool is that? Anyway, we're going to get this baby out and we'll crack on. We've already seen this guy out before, and the turntable. But yeah, the tune's behind that piece of wood. Anyway, we've done that before, so this will be more about the reel-to-reel and the frame legs. All right, here we go. Okay, we're back in the room. So after a little bit more investigation, figured out the best way to remove this guy is to actually take it from its transport chassis. Removing this whole thing, I think, would be silly because you've got these bands working, this rail, it's all been aligned by the pros at Zenith back in the day. So taking that out would be a bad thing. So we're going to remove this screw, and this screw here, and it's corresponding on the opposite side, which should allow us to remove this from the front. Now, to do that, we're going to have to remove the lid to get to those two screws down in here. Removing the lid is actually not a bad thing, because when we flip this guy on its back to address the frame and the legs, you have to take the crap out of this because it wants to flip up because it's now lying on its back. So with this off and with all the guts out, it'll be a little bit lighter or make it easier. Right now the tape recorder reel-to-reel is not powering up. It's brown bread, it's dead. There is power here, we checked that, but we did the reset, but there's nothing happening. So we'll address that when we take it out, but hopefully it's not a major issue. Okay, we've got the 4 screws out and we've disconnected everything, and now hopefully this is going to go this way and out. I'll hand this to my lovely assistant. There you go. Okay. All right. Give it a wiggle. It's a good job I put that rag there because this sucker's heavy. All right, and we're on the bench. I looked everywhere on how to remove the case on YouTube. There was one guy who's pro at restoring these things, and every video of every model he didn't show how to remove the case. He shows everything else, which I'll refer to, which is awesome. Anyway, you're going to pull the knobs off here, the little protector cover there, and what you have to do is you have to squeeze right there because it's a little tab, and you squeeze right here and it will lift off. But squeeze gently because it's basically just captive by those guys. And then screws, 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 and this whole thing should lift off, and we'll see what's inside. Okay, you will also need to remove, I guess you call them the tape spindles, tape mounts, 1, 2, 3, and then lift off. And then this, all being well, I'm doing this while holding the phone, and that guy there needs to get pushed in with 2 hands. So I'm not going to do it because it needs to be 2 hands to get it past that little reset button. I don't want to break it. So anyway, you got to push that in, 2 hands, and then this will lift off. Same on this side. I think that's a button interlock right there. So you have to push it in with 2 hands, and the same thing will lift off and slide off. Okay, we got the panels off. I put the buttons on because so we can operate it while the covers are off, and it's really, really clean inside. Usually there's belts broken and bits of rubber, but it's actually very clean. And I've also figured out why it wouldn't power up. The tape trip right there, this is a micro switch which shuts off the unit when the tape has flown through, so it's not just spinning with no tape. Now usually on other machines the flywheel, the motor, is always on and the engagement starts driving everything, but this is literally a power trip, which is I have not seen on reel-to-reels before, because otherwise you have no idea if it's on or not. But yeah, if you watch this, there we go. So it's literally a power off. It doesn't just trip off the drive like the Sonys do. Anyway, this is a good sign, a really good sign. We'll check the belts, we'll check the pulleys, we'll do some greasing, and yeah, this is the main on the flywheel. They're all hard. Even the pressure roller right here for the tape's hard. It's got a lump in it as well. Turn it on. You can hear it rattling. There's also a belt missing, as you can see down in there. There's a belt missing. There's the bits for it, because I can't actually get it to stop mode. So it's kind of gummed up a little bit. I jumped that switch, which I still think is a weird thing not to have the flywheel motor running all the time. But anyway, I'm just used to the Sonys, I guess. So yeah, work to be done on this guy. Okay, so we've been doing a little bit more digging in here, and I couldn't figure out how to get it to stop. And the reason is, because it's like permanently in drive right now, I couldn't get it to stop. Because, like I said, the flywheel is always moving. It's not like the motor's moving all the time, then it engages to the flywheel like the Sony's. So like I said, this is all new to me. It's a Wollensak. I believe it's the 5730 series, but Zenith branded 57Z. There you go, 5730. Okay, so the reason I couldn't get it to stop, it's kind of hard to see, so if I get it in there, you do this. See that right there? That's a stop and start cam. And there's a belt that's supposed to be on it. So let me stop this guy. So that is on a cam which comes in and drives off there, which pushes it down to stop and start it. So we've got to replace that. Now the thing about the belts are, there's no kit for this model. I've looked on eBay, I've looked everywhere, there's no kit. So I'm gonna have to make these measurements and order them from Gary at Voice of Music, because there's a drive belt there and there's a counter belt there, as well as sending in, you can hear how noisy it is, we got to send that idler wheel in to get refurbed. So it's going to be trial and error with the belts. I'll probably have to order multiples because I can't order one and then find that it doesn't fit and I have to order it again. It'll take me about 3 bloody years to finish this thing. So anyway, I'll be ordering multiple belts, but that's where we are at the moment. Okay, so I'm starting this because I needed to focus on what you're seeing right there, because it wouldn't do it when the camera was off. But that is your take-up belt on the big flywheel right there. You have to get that off, and the best way to do that is to take this corresponding unit off here. There's a screw here, and then you pull this guy off. While this is off, give this a good clean. This doesn't take anything, it's grease, oil, it's dry. It's a little dry clutch system. But remember how that all goes together. There's the belt. You can take this belt off and then somehow flip it off on the back there. As you can see, I don't have a lighter in it right now. But yeah, God knows how I'm gonna get it on or off without taking the whole frickin' amp board off, you know what I mean? The control board, main board, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'll let you know how I get on. Okay, we got that guy off. You can see how it's misshaped. And now we're going to get the counter belt off. The counter belt should be pretty easy because there's actually a gap back there. So with my tweezers, I'm hoping, of course I'm doing this while filming, so excuse the operating, but maybe if I take it off, no, I can't do that, it has to come off down here. So this is why I show you most of the time after the fact, because I'm doing it one-handed. Anyway, let's see if we can do this. There we go. I think I did it. It's a tight fit. And it's basically stuck in there. So I've got to just pull it with my hands. But that's the way it comes off. Like that. Boom. And then this should thread over. And there we have the counter belt. Where's the other little guy I put over here to save it? I measured this with a piece of rubber, like a rubber tie, to get a rough size. Yeah, so then you measure the thickness with these guys, and then you measure this distance on what I use is this with 2 pencils, and you measure that distance double it up, take a little bit off for the, because you want it to be a little snugger. And I'm going to order these from Gary at Voice of Music, and I end up having to order two each time, because if it's the first time I've ordered, I'm not too sure of the size, because I can't keep ordering them. Like I said before, take forever. Anyway, so there's the 3 belts, and then we'll get that idler wheel off, because that's got to go in as well. Okay, we've got this baby on its back. As you can see here, got some support. Support it, because there's a fan underneath here, a plastic one on the motor, and you will break that real easy. So we got the belts off, counter, rewind belt. We've still got to get that. This guy here, the stop and start cam belt, was already broken, but we still have to get this off to get the new one on, as well as the pinch roller off, because the pinch roller has a nice divot, whatever you'd like to call it, where it's been basically resting on this flywheel drive right there for God knows how many years. I think the way to get this off is move this spring, and then 1, 2, 3 clips, and this whole chassis, drive chassis, should just lift straight off. There's a little spring here as well. This is the fast stop lever if you wanted to pause it for any reason. As you can see, it enacts the brakes right here. But yeah, we've got to get that off. And also, as you can see, plenty of cleaning to be done. A lot of old grease down in here, so lots of cleaning on the drums right here. This idler wheel is going to come off quite easily, and I'll show you how. There's 2 clips here. That slides up, and same on there. The little plastic clip slides down, and then the wheel just pulls, it literally pulls straight out to you. So that's kind of nice. One there, sorry. One there, up, and one there, down, and this will just slide straight out. The idler wheel is going to go to Gary at Voice of Music, as is the pinch roller. He's done these before, but they're a special build, so it's going to take a while to get these back. These guys, the rewind wheels and the fast wind wheels, they're made of a different substance. They're kind of more hard plastic. So these don't have to get retreaded, in my humble opinion, because I think these are designed for a certain amount of slip. So when you do a stop, there's a bit of drag, as you can see, just by doing that, so you don't actually snap the tape. So these should be good, and they are noisy, but from the guy Clyde's site on YouTube, he says that's normal for them to be noisy on the rewind and fast wind sequence. Take that spring off. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 clips here. Let's get a better screwdriver. We'll take that guy off right there. There is a washer that goes underneath. Put all these stuff in here. Take the belts out. Anyway. Now, if my guess is correct, that is still attached by a spring, but I'm hoping this will lift up and we can get that spring off a lot easier. There we go, rather than trying to bend it off with a screwdriver. Okay, so there's the cam with the belt is already busted off, as you can see. I have a wild guess on the size from Gary's website, but I ordered actually 3 different ones to make sure it's sized, so I went what I think it is above and beyond, if you know what I mean. We're going to take the pinch roller off next. As you can see, it is captive by that clip right there, if you can see that. So you'll pop that off, and then this will lift off, and then you will have the pinch roller descend into Gary. Okay, got that to one side, and now we're going to pop this guy up. You can see right there, that's that little plastic tab, and there's one underneath as well. It's a good idea to take this all the way up on the speed so you can actually get to it on the speed control, and then just pop this down, which is not as easy as the top one. There we go. You just drop down. There is a bushing. There's a little bushing there. Make sure you save those. Don't send them into Gary. He doesn't want them, trust me. There's the other clip. And there's that other bushing. Little bronze bushing. And there's our wheel. As you can see, it's pretty hard. And lots of little dents. Little indentations like the pinch roller. See if I can show you the one on the pinch roller right there. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, that's because it was sat against this drive wheel on the flywheel for some time. So that's good. All right, I get those sent in. Meanwhile, lots of cleaning. It's great you got that chassis off, that stop and start chassis off with the pinch roller, because you can get all this grease off now. Give it a good clean and re-lube. Okay, so after taking the pinch roller carriage off, I had a bit of an issue getting the pinch roller out. I already tapped it, but this is basically, this shaft has a relief on it. I'll just push it through now because I already got it out. So as you can see, that relief right there, which is a stamped fit in there. As you see, the holes are slightly, so this guy goes in here, sits, and that is seal is put in place by, I'm not going to do it now because I've got to re-put this in with the new roller. You're going to have to use, you're going to have to use a punch, hammer, and you're going to have to punch that out. One side is slightly bigger than the other. And then when you put it back together, you have to push it back in, and hopefully it'll stay, or a little bit of metal glue. What do they call that stuff? You know, by JB Weld. Hopefully to keep it in place. It's a bit of a wanky design. Also, don't forget there's these shims inside, little washers there, and a tiny bit of grease. But yeah, that was a bit of an issue. But like I said, we should be good to go now. Okay, now that we have all the components out, we can start looking at the legs. It's always a little bit weird seeing these things on their back. It's like kind of like a beached whale. Anyway, you can understand now why having that top off is a good thing, because those springs would want it to come out like this and you have to take the crap out of it. So having that off is actually works out good. So the frame, the legs in the frame, as you can see right here, they're loose, and that's from people dragging them. But at the same time, with only 1, 2, 3 mounts and just a dowel in there, you can understand why. This is the strong piece. It's the same on all of them. Also, while you have in this position, it's a good time to address any nicks and discoloration. We'll fix this and dress this up and make it look a lot nicer. You don't have to take the whole frame off, but you do have to just break the screws and loosen them up so that this can close back better when you do this. Now this is what I do. I use a little L bracket, support bracket. You get them from Lowe's. I think they come in a pack of 2 or 4. Basically goes there. You can also put some wood glue in there. but that's the strongest way of fixing these so that they'll stay aligned, and you obviously you do all four. Okay, we will crack on. Okay, so we've got a brace in here, and we've got a brace in here, and of course on the opposite end as well. But what I forgot to share with you is the screw mounts. So there's only 3 here, and what happens is with this constant flexing, and we have that gap being, you know, in between the legs getting larger and larger, what also happens is the screw holes also start flexing, and then the screws don't bite as much. The originals are number 10 2.5 inch, but we're going to replace them, not all of them, just the loose ones on that strut, with number 12 2.5. As you can see, same length, just a bit thicker, and I'll show you what happened. So this guy right here, you put him in, and he's just going round and round and round. He's not biting, and that's because of the wear. So we're going to put bigger screws in, see anywhere they're loose, to help secure that. So we'll put bigger ones in there, and it's going to bite nicely. Now, also, you can see this piece of wood here. So if we come over here to one I haven't done, see that gap right there? Well, to make sure everything was lined up, I put this wedge in, tapped it in with a mallet, put that wedge in there so this was nice and tight. And you know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to cut it right here, cut it right there, color it in. You'll never see it from the top, but that's going to give a little bit more strength. See? There's nothing going on there now. And that's going to also look nice and flush. And when you look from a distance, it'll all look aligned and nice. So we're going to do the same on this one as well. We'll stick a wedge in there, because you can see there's quite a gap between this part of the frame, and this is actually the bottom of the, these are the mounts for the swing doors. All right. Okay, you remember this guy? That hinge that we were going to repair. I have a bunch of these. They're Weber naps, and I do have them from other consoles that had to be dismantled. But I thought, why not try and fix this? So as you can see in there, this travels up and down on this rail. And these were missing when this got unscrewed too far. When they were adjusting the tension, the screw came out of this. This was flopping around, and these probably dropped out somewhere in their lifetime. It took me forever to find out what they are. I thought they was called a flange washer, like this right here. But actually they're the inserts to rubber grommets. They're like motor mounts, you know, stuff that has to have a bolt shoved through it, and it's surrounded in rubber. Took me a while to find them, but I did find a couple. Cut them to fit, put them back in there, put a little light amount of grease on there, and we should be good to go once I put it back on. Anyway, there you go. Okay, and we're back. So after a 3-week hiatus, normal service is being resumed. Normal service on that thing. Got some parts from Gary. He did custom builds on the pinch roller and the idler wheels. That's why it took a bit longer. These are the belts that fit. I got doubles of each, but I'll show you the ones that actually work. This is the stop and start cam. As you can see, the new belt on there. This is this guy. It's a lovely fit. Fits really nice. We have the rewind belt right there, and the counter belt. So screenshot this shot, so you have those sizes, and you can get them from Gary. I already put this on, as you can see, so this will now be going back on there with some cleaning. You've already seen how to get them off, so it's the reverse of putting them on. No need to show you really. Also, I got a new motor run cap. This big guy's big 2.5 UF motor run cap. This is a little bigger because it's rated higher. I couldn't get the exact rating, which is I think 600 volts or 330 AC right there. This one's a nice 1000 or something. What is it? Nope, 660, sorry. 660. Couldn't find that one, but if you're going to three-phase this, just kidding, it'll work. So there. Anyway, I'm going to start putting stuff back together. If there's anything tricky, I will video it and show you. Okay, been doing some cleaning and putting back and back together. Little cleaning and re-greasing. A lot of this stuff is actually stained. I couldn't get it off with acetone. I know it looks dirty, but it's just bloody well stained. Anyway, there's the brakes here. Don't grease in there. It's fiber washer plastic with a tension spring. So that doesn't need grease. This mount does, so that it moves freely. Take it off and clean it. Also, while you've got it off, right in here is a little cloth washer for this flywheel right here, where it goes through this body. Put some oil on that. Now's a good time. All this metal oxide stuff is really caked on. I'm going to actually run the motor and clean that off. It'll be way easier with this spinning. I did the heads, and as you can see, that's the best I can get them. This metal oxide has really like rusted on there, even here as well. No amount of acetone will get it off. But that's okay because everything, all the mechanism works nicely so far. All right. Oh, and I got the idler on there, as you can see. Don't forget those bronze bushings. We'll need a drop of oil through the wheel mounts right there, the idler wheel mount. All right. Okay, I've got it up and just testing that wheel there. Look how quiet that is now. I mean, we've yet to put the pinch roller on and stuff, but sounds awesome, doesn't it? Anyway, we're going to clean right here this metal oxide off with a bit of acetone. I use acetone for cleaning off grease. You can see the dirt right there. And this is probably easier because this is caked on. But obviously be careful with acetone because you don't want to breathe the fumes in too much, because apparently you can get brain damage. What was I saying? What am I doing? Anyway, yeah, so keep cleaning. Okay, belts. So I've been mistakenly calling this the rewind belt. It's not, it's the take-up belt. I got a little confused because these are the rewind wheels, that is the take-up belt. So I've corrected it in subtitles, as you've probably seen, so I apologize for that. It's my first time with this unit, and I thought that was a rewind belt. It's the take-up belt. And previously we saw how hard it was to get that off back in the flywheel right there. Anyway, when you did get it off, you got to put the new one on, which is already on. And the best way I could do that is by putting a tension on this long screwdriver, then inserting it to the where it goes through to the flywheel there, letting go, and then from the other side over here, you know, from there we're going, you know, you have to kind of clip it onto the flywheel and then onto this wheel. It's trial and error. Give it a go. It happens, and sorry for the confusion on what calling that. It is the take-up belt. Okay, we got the start mechanism all put back together. There's the new belt in there on that guy. Springs are on, and the new pinch roller. You remember that guy? Now you remember how to punch this out because it's a press fit. Well, because the relief is on the other side, I talk about dabbing a bit of metal glue on there or something. It actually pushed back together quite nicely. And because of the lips on the bottom side, it's actually captive. So it shouldn't go anywhere, but keep an eye on it. But yeah, went back together quite nicely. Okay, we have got her back together. So far it seems to be running real nicely. Been testing some functions. There's the rewind, fast forward, and we've got, try to do this with one hand, without taking the finger off. So that's play right there, as you can see, taken up okay, and stop. Oh, look at that cam. Isn't that a thing of beauty? And there it goes, with the new belt. Go from this side. Beautiful. Anyway, yeah, it's noisy with these. These are basically just hard plastic for the rewind and take up, fast forward. That's life, nothing you can do about them. Anyway, feeling very happy with this, and now we move on to putting some tape on there. Okay, we've loaded up some tape. This is like some junk tape that I've lying around in case it gets ripped apart as we hit play. I only have one of these real, what do you call them? Real stop offer falling onto your floor things. I'm hoping the weight will keep that one on. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Wow, how cool is that? It is running. Whether it's running at speed, we have no idea. Because next is the electricals. We'll be recapping and checking a lot of other good stuff, including those heads right there. But yeah, look at that. Thing of beauty. All right, more to come. Hi, I know we talked about doing electrical rebuild next, but I couldn't resist to actually listen to it and see how it sounds before I start taking caps off. So put some tape on, let's have a listen. Wow. Even the meters work. Awesome. Okay, well, I was really hoping not to have to take this board off to get to the solder on the other side, because normally I would just cut these here and do the splits of some twists and just resolder them to the existing legs rather than desoldering everything. But as you can see, these two are axials mounted radially, and you can't get to that bottom one without desoldering from underneath. Just those two. So I'm gonna have to take this motherboard off. I believe there's this screw here, this one, and that guy right there. And it should lift off. I'll only do these two because when you start doing this kind of stuff, things can break, especially old plastic. We've also yet to address the motor, that needs oiling. And also, you're gonna have to undo these guys, one screw here and one screw there. These are the record levers from the other side, and they pull this down for the recording end of stuff. So those two screws will come out, but they come out from underneath these holes, so that's good. And also while you're here, all those contacts need cleaning. Look how black they are. This is the record section. Puts everything in record mode, so they'll need cleaning. All right, wish me luck. Okay, so I got those out, but this kind of sucks. Those two right there, 1, 2. Guess what? That has to come off. Transformer. It's just two nut bolts right there, which you can get at. So that's got to come off and hang off. This one, and I think even this one right in here. Undo that as well, because I'm not sure what this bracket is supporting, but that one as well. It's a bit of a pain just because of two caps, but there you go. Okay, so I'm getting to something that I actually didn't want to get to. It looks like I've got to remove this whole section. These are the head connectors. They've got to come off. There's one there as well, in there. Goes over to there. Also, don't forget there's a big ass cap in there. See it? Not sure what it is, but we're gonna get that off as well. So yeah, it's gonna have to come off, and I really don't want to take this kind of stuff off because things start to break. So you got to take photographs now of all these cables, connections, mark them, because to get this off, these cables have to be threaded through that hole, and there's speed selector cables as well. What else? Oh yeah, the volume controls cables go in there as well. So this is a bit of a bitch, but anyway, there you go. Also, the stereo, the microphone jack bracket has to come off also to get this thing off. So this guy was coming off as well. It's a bit of a pain the way it's put together, but because, you know, I don't want to break stuff, and old plastic stuff breaks. But anyway, that's where we are. All right, we got her off. Previous video, I said those cables here were for the volume control. They're not, they're for the meters. So I apologize. This is a learning curve for me as well. I didn't anticipate taking this off, but it's off. Which also means now's a really good time to put that belt on. Remember us talking about that? Yeah. Anyway, it's good to get in there, a bit of cleaning. There's also these pots right here. They'll need cleaning. So anyway, it's all good. Like I said, this is a learning curve for me, so I'll end up contradicting myself many times. All right, here we go. Okay, so I put the transformer bracket and the microphone bracket back on, so this thing wasn't flopping around as I move this around to recap it. And now that we have it out, I'll probably be doing these very professionally from the rear, rather than do the cut and spiral. I'll use my solder sucker, and we'll probably still do splits if the leads reach. But anyway, radials here, of course, and then this big sucker. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll replace that and give the pots a clean as I previously stated. All right, let's get cracking. Okay, there is no oil points, access points on the motor. You have to take the motor out to service it. If you take out these mounting bolts right here, this one here, they're heat sinked on almost because of the constant heat, so they're a bit of a, they could bust the thread on you. So I took these two of them out, and they're captive on the other side by this nut, and this goes here, this end that goes into the rubber mount section right there. This is a bit of a bitch to get at, because you've got to get those out to remove the motor, these motor mounts. One's gone there, but as you can see, hidden there, one by the flywheel. God knows how I'm going to get that one out, and that one there. So the idle wheel assembly is a clip right here. This is going to come off, and then the speed change mechanism, two mounts there, that's going to come this way, so I can get those out. Okay, so we got the idler mechanism off. There's a little spring there that flips over to this piece to keep it on. You need to flip that spring off, and then it'll slide off easily. We undid the two nuts here. Make sure you remember which way the gaskets go in, because they are insulator gaskets. And there you can see the motor mounts. I've already got one off with this guy. it ends up being that guy right there. So now I'm going to get those two off, and that one is probably going to be a wrench because it's very, very captive by the flywheel. Good luck on that guy. Okay, we got it off. You can use a 7/16 wrench for that guy because it will not come out all the way because the flywheel's trapping it, as you can see. But yeah, we got it off. And just be aware that there's some collars. See that one there, the bottom left? That's a collar. There's one up the, there's 4 of them obviously. But don't forget, those collars have got to go back in right here, which will sit in the rubber. If you can see it up there. Anyway, sorry. Focus. Anyway, I'm going to break this apart and see what's inside. Okay. I'm going to wuss out on this one because I took all these screws off to get these apart, and what's happening is down there is the clip, and that's also a rubber bushing, as well as taking that set screw off and trying to pry the capstan off. I think I'm going to do more damage to an old motor than actually helping it. Now, if you can see, but right in there, you can actually see the oil felts. So you can oil it, same on this side as well. You can't see the camera, but it's in there. So I'm just gonna oil the felts. It's already spinning really nicely because this is not my unit and I don't want to damage this because the customer client, Randy K, will not be happy. He'll be understanding, but deep down he won't be happy. So I'm gonna oil it. I think it'll be fine. Why not? It was already working. If it was my unit, I might proceed further, but it's not. So anyway, onwards and upwards, gonna put it back together. Okay, so we got it all back together. But at the end of the day, did it have to come out? Nah, not really, because you can get to those wicks in there with this stuff, this probe, nice long oiler. You could have got to those felts in there and in there with a flashlight, and like I said, a long oiler like that. But hey, you know what? That's why I do this stuff, so you don't have to. So yeah, we're pretty good. The motor mounts are actually very nice, so they didn't need swapping out, and if they did, God knows where I'd find them. But yeah, so mechanically, it's done. Okay, it's Thanksgiving Thursday, and we're all recapped. But an interesting issue happened, just want to share with you, is, do you remember that big cap in there? The silver one which we took out? It was 3000 UF, but it was rated at 16 volts. So of course I put one in at 16 volts and it did not like it. It was running hot. That you could smell the thing. I put a 50 volt in there. I know that's way over, but you know what? I had it in stock, looks good, works good, and we're good to go. 3300, even better. So I would highly recommend that you put a 25 volt in there, not the 16 that I pulled out. And it was interesting when I looked at the schematic. Check that out. So on play, it's putting 17.4, and I measured it, and it's actually more like 18. So the cap that I put in originally, that 16 volter, did not like it. So the specs were definitely under, but wasn't happy with that at all. Also, let's talk about the speed control. When changing speeds, I think you need to let this thing run for a while, and the reason is, when it's cold, it does not like to go uphill. It definitely does it better when it's warm, but if you do it from cold, there you go. Probably not enough torque in the motor to push it up there. But anyway, she's all done. We're gonna get the covers back on, and we're gonna put her inside the console. All right. She is all done. Record changer done, recap, tune-up, and a complete rebuild on the Z57, otherwise known as a Wollensak 5730, I believe. Yeah, and I finally did figure out why these are spring-loaded. It's because they hold the tapes on. Didn't realize that early in the video, and I put a stopper falling off on the ground thing on it. But anyway, yeah, dirt is me, but yeah, they're spring loaded so they can pull out and hold the reels captive. Anyway, she sounds amazing. I do a separate video of her playing, not on this one, so people can go straight to it. Also, we did put Bluetooth on it and installed a switcher box as per the client's request. So he has got it all: record player, reel-to-reel, radio, and Bluetooth. I'd like to give a big thank you to Randy K. This is his unit. This was a real pleasure and good fun for me because it was something completely different. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll do it again.